Okay, this is lesson 18. We're going to solve systems of inequalities. So, we've been solving systems of equations. We did that by graphing, and then we did it algebraically. And so now we're going to combine that with our inequality stuff that we did in the last unit, and we're going to solve systems of linear inequalities by graphing. So, I've made a little note here of our inequality rules. So if you have greater than, you shade above, less than is shade below. If you just have greater than or less than, it's a dashed line. If you have greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it's a solid line. So we talked about that back in Unit 2. We graphed inequalities in Unit 2. You know, you make the line and then you shade. Okay, and then we learned in lesson 16 that when you graph a linear system, the point where they intersect is the solution. So inequalities are a little bit different because when you graph the line, you have to shade. So you're going to have a shaded region for the first line, a shaded region for the second line, but then your solution set is where those shaded regions overlap. So any ordered pairs in the overlapping shaded region could be a solution. Okay, now in Math Excel, you're going to graph the lines and then it's going to ask for the overlapping shaded region. So it's going to be a little bit different than what you're going to see here. So what I recommend that you do is get some scratch paper and a pencil and sketch out your problems on paper, and then do your shading in Math Excel. So I'll show you what I mean. Since we have two separate inequalities, I'm going to get two different colors. I'm going to, just so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to use orange and green. So I'm going to graph this first line using green. So my y-intercept is this number on the end, so we can make a note. So my y-intercept is -2. My slope is the number with x, and remember that tells me my rise over run. So I'm going to go down to right 1. I'm going to do it a couple more times just so I can make my line nice and straight. Okay? And like, since you're doing this in the computer, your line will be nice and straight anyways, so you don't have to worry about the other dots. All right, so this is less than or equal to, so I made that solid line because it's equal to and it's less, so I'm going to shade below. So I'm just going to shade in the area below that line. Okay, that's the first part of the problem. The second part, we're going to do the exact same thing except with this equation. So my y-intercept is 4. My slope is 1 over 1, so I'm going to go up 1 over 1. Okay. It's greater than or equal to, so that is a solid line. And it's greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Okay, and so you can see that my colors overlap in this section. Okay, and so I'm going to color that in with a darker color. So on Math Excel, that's the region that it wants you to shade. Okay, so what I would do if I was you, I would graph your lines in Math Excel. So I would do this line and this line. And then on maybe a scrap piece of paper, I might draw, okay, so one line went this way and I shade above, the other line was this way and I shade below. So this is the region that I'm going to shade on Math Excel. Sorry, I just realized that you couldn't see that. So just a little sketch of this graph. So this line shade above, this line shade below. This is where they overlap. So that's what I'm going to shade in Math Excel. Okay. All right. Number 2, we're going to do the same thing. So our first equation, we have -4 as our y-intercept. Our slope is -4, so we go down 4 over 1. All right, I'll make my line. It is less than or equal to, so that equal to means it's a solid line. And I shade below. Okay. My next one, my intercept is 5. And my slope is 1 over 1. It's greater than or equal to. So once again, I'm going to do a solid line. And I shade above. So this time the overlapping region is right here. And that's what it will be looking for in Math Excel. Okay, moving on. Number 3. Our y-intercept is -4 and my slope is 4/1. So I'm going to go up 4/1. Okay, it's less than, so that's going to be a dotted or dashed line. And I'm going to shade below. So below would be this side. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. So my intercept is 1. My slope is 1/1. And it's less than or equal to. So that equal to tells me it's going to be solid. And I shade below. So I'm going to shade everything below that orange line. And if you look, your overlapping region is right here. Okay. Now, number 4 is a little bit different. We have just a linear inequality and an absolute value inequality. This problem is multiple choice in your work. Okay. So you really are just going to have to focus on the shading. Okay. You're not going to have to worry as much about getting the lines on there. You're just going to have to look at where the shading should be. So y is greater than 5. So I'm going to go to 5 on the y. And I don't have a slope, so that means it's 0. And we have a horizontal line. It's dashed. Okay, so you need to make sure you realize that that horizontal line is dashed. And we're shading above. Okay. The next one, we have absolute value. So there's a +1 inside the bar. So that means I'm just going to move it to the left 1. And I'm going to make that V shape by going up 1/1 on each side. It's less than, so that means it's dotted, or dashed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make sure you look for that dashed or dotted line. And it's less than, so I'm going to shade everywhere below the absolute value. And if you notice, the only places that overlap are here in the corners. Okay, so you'll choose the answer, the multiple choice answer that has those corners shaded in. Okay. All right. Our next example, number 5. So you're given 3 inequalities. So this is a little bit different, and I'm pretty sure that yours is multiple choice like this as well. Okay. So our first inequality is a little bit different. It's in standard form. So you're going to have to find your x and y intercepts. Okay. So we've got to do a little bit of work to that one. So I'll come over to the side and do that. And like I said, yours should be multiple choice, so you won't have to worry about this part. Okay. So for the x, I'm going to have -2x is greater than or equal to 8. And so that gives me x is less than or equal to -4. For the y, I have -y is greater than or equal to 8. So I divide by -1 and I get y is less than or equal to -8. Okay, so for this line, and I'm going to have to get a different color, so I'll just use this black pen. So my x is at -4 and my y is at -8. And it's going to be solid because it has an equal to. And they're both less than, so I need the side where those are less. So it's going to be this triangle. Okay, and you have to look at these symbols, not that original one. That's where I got that less than. All right, so my next one, I'm going to do y is greater than or equal to -4. So I'm going to come down here at -4, Again, that's a horizontal line. It is equal to, so that means it's going to be solid. And I'm shading above. So everything above that green line. Okay. And then last, I have x is greater than or equal to -8. So I'm going to go to -8 on the x. It's an equal to, so it's a solid line. And then it's greater than, so you're going to shade to the right because this one's a little bit different. So you're looking for the place where all three colors overlapped. And so let me see, let me get a different color. Let me use a highlighter here. So if you look, all three colors are overlapping in this triangle. So in Math Excel, your multiple choice question, you would pick the one that has this inside triangle shaded. Okay, so what you're going to need to do on this problem is all of the lines should be correct. You're just going to have to look for the solid and dotted and think about where the shading would be for each line and pick the one that fits it best. Okay. Then the last type of problem in this section is blank a solution? So you're going to be given a coordinate point and you have to decide if it's a solution or not in the graphs. So if I was to say is -5, 2 a solution? Okay. So they're multiple choice, so you look at each graph and decide. So I'm going to find the point -5, 2. So I'll just go back up here to number 1. So -5, 2. It falls in the overlapping region, so that means yes, this one would be this one would work. Okay, this one -5, 2. Oh, that one works too. It falls in that overlapping region. Okay, the next one -5, 2. Does that fall in the overlapping region? No. This one, -5, 2. Does that fall in the overlapping region? No. Okay. And so, you have I can't remember if it's 1 or 2, but you have a problem or two that asks, is a coordinate pair a solution? Select all that apply. So look at the graph choices, look for the point that you're given on each of those graphs and see if it's in the shaded region. If it is, choose it. If it's not, skip it. Okay, now I know that these notes were a little bit different than normal, but this should help you on your Math Excel work, and because you're just using those graphing tools to make your graphs, and then you have some multiple choice ones where you just need to think about solid, dotted, and where to shade. Okay, as always, if you need me, let me know. I'm here to help you. Hit the Ask My Instructor button, talk to me in the Google Meet, send me an email, whatever you need to do. Have a great day.